Good night, good night. How am I doing tonight? God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Army J. Spirit Divine. I'm here to give you a little news and a word on tonight. But this is kind of horrible news. United States airman had been shot and killed by the police in Florida in his apartment. So I'm going to discuss Roger Fortson. He was shot, killed by the police in Florida. His family demand answers. After seeing the video showing the fatal shooting of the black United States airman at the home, Florida. He was in Air Force, the Army. So attorney for slain Airman Sheriff did, and after the release of shooting a body camera footage. Now, he was 23 years old, and he was shot and killed. County sheriff deputy, when according to the department, the deputy was responding to a disturbance in progress. So someone called for a disturbance, but they get a wrong address. So Roger's death raised serious questions, that demand immediate answers from authority, and especially concerning alarming witness statement that the police entered the wrong apartment. He entered the wrong apartment. And so someone got their life taken from someone the police entered the wrong apartment. So the mother is mourning for her lost, son, demanding justice after he was killed by Florida police officers. So United States Air Force citizen Airman Roger. Now he was 22 years old. That was real young. Real young. And he was off base, in Florida when he was shot and killed by the police. On May the 3rd, the incident was captured on a police body camera. So all this was captured on his body camera. According to Roger, the lawyer, the deputy was in fatal incident, was responding to a call. Disturbance in a complex, but they knocked on the wrong door. Now, family demand answers, and they deserve some answers. So Florida deputy had burst, into the wrong apartment and shot her son 6 times. Now, receiving a call, disturbance in a complex, is when a deputy burst into the door. The deputy did not introduce, themselves. They just bust in, and they didn't even ask his name. They just bust in, and shot him. And they was in the wrong door. And he better open the door. So soon as he opened the door, they didn't ask no question. They were supposed to ask who he is, so, and then they should have got the correct address. And soon as they opened the door, didn't ask no question, just shot him. Just shot the boy 6 times. So for all deputies, receiving a phone call for disturbance or anything, you may have to make sure you at the correct address. Because this young boy, 23 years old, had lost his life because y'all entered the wrong door. Y'all didn't ask him. You supposed to introduce yourself, and you supposed to ask him questions or what's his name. You supposed to ask, if anything going on up in this apartment. But you saw that gun and got scared and just started shooting. Now this young man lost his life because they burst into the wrong door. As soon as he opened the door, you didn't introduce yourself. You didn't ask his name, and you just started shooting. Now the family demand answers. They deserve answers. Why they're seeing their son being shot. Soon as they open the door, and he don't know why they busting in his house and they just start shooting him. And so another black man killed from a deputy that bust into the wrong door. Now I request that this family get justice. I request that this family get justice because they went to the wrong door. And when as soon as he opened the door, they ain't even ask, what's his name? If they got disturbance up here. They ain't introduced themselves. They're supposed to say, oh, we got a phone call at disturbance at this address. But they set a gun on him and realized he off, in the army. They saw the gun and got scared and panicked. And this young boy lost his life. He was just home visit. And so the parents, we can't imagine how the parents feel. They deserve justice. So that's all I have on the news. Okay, so the birth of Samuel. The theme of this here, what I'm getting at, praying in the spirit. Lately, that's what I do. I do my fasting out loud. And when I want to pray, in private, I pray in the spirit to God. Now this lady here, she prayed in the spirit. She prayed in her heart. She prayed in her heart to where her mouth was moving. But no words was coming out. So where Eli thought she was drunk. So they're going to come from 1 Samuel chapter 1 through 20. Now he had 2 wives. Her husband had 2 wives. He had another woman in her. He had 2 wives. One was called Hannah. She had no children. God had closed her womb out. His second wife, Penis, she had children. He had more than one wife, and this was not God's original intention for marriage. But year after year, this man went up from his town to worship and sacrifices to the Lord Almighty, and 2 children. Eli was a priest of the Lord. He was a priest. Now the original center of the nation, 3 times a year, Israelite, they pass over, the festival of the unleavened bread. So whenever Eli sacrificed, he give Anna wife, he give Anna, his other wife, Penis. He give her a portion of meat. But when he got to Hannah, he give her double portion because he loved her, and the Lord closed her womb. So her husband, he had 2 wives. He gave the other wife a portion, but Anna, he gave her. They're just like with Jacob. Jacob had 2 wives. He really loved the second wife. Because remember, he had to marry. He had to work 7 years to get the wife, and that wasn't the one. He had to work another 7 years to get the wife. So the first one, he cared for her, but the second one, he really, really loved her. That's the same here with his wife. So whenever he sacrificed, he give her a portion, his other wife, and Hannah get a double portion, because he had love and compassion for her that she don't have no children. Now, in Hebrew society, one of the greatest tragedies that could befall a woman was not to have no children. That was a shameful thing to have to be living and don't have no children. Back then, there was shame. They were like, you got to have a child. That's how it was back then in the Bible. But children are a blessing, from God. And then because the Lord had closed Hannah's womb, her rival, kept provoking her in order to irritate her. Because see, the first wife have a baby. And she have her children be all around Hannah, and Hannah don't have no children. Hannah had been unable to conceive children. A woman barrenness was embarrassment for their husband. Now the family had duties of caring for their parents in their old age. And that's another thing. They pretty much want to have children, for when they get in their old age, they want their children to take care of them. But this went on for year after year. So whenever Hannah had went up to the house of the Lord, her rival provoked her to tell the told of the wheat and would not eat. So she'll go up there, she started not eating, because she trying to fast to God, because she want a baby. Now part of God's plan, for Hannah involved postponing, her year of childbearing. Now why Phoenix have children look up at Hannah and circumstances, and we all struggle with God's timing, and answering their prayers. But our prayers, get answered. So in the meanwhile, continue on praying. It will help remain steadfast in your faith and confidence in God's timing to bring fulfillment to your life. The timing part, that's what you have to wait. And that's the hardest thing. Her husband would say to her, Hannah, why are you downhearted? Don't I mean more to you than ever? Because he think because he have another wife, she downhearted, but that's not the case. Hannah knew her husband loved her, but even his encouragement could not comfort her. Now she thought otherwise, was criticizing because she have children. That's what he probably thought, because she have children, and he must. That is some of the problem. That is the problem. She got children and she don't have children. And her deepest groanings, Anna had prayed to the Lord, weeping bitterness. She got tired. She about to do something about this. She about to pray to God and let it all out, let all the tears out. So Anna had good reason to feel discouraged and bitter. Now she was unable to bear children, and she shared her husband with a woman who have children. Now her loving husband could not solve her problem. And she made a vow. And saying, Lord Almighty, if you will only, look on your servant, misery, and remember me and not forget your servant. Now she said, she putting her guts out to God now. Putting her guts out because she wants to have the feeling of being pregnant. And she said, put your heart into your servant in misery. Remember me, Lord. Don't forget your servants. Give her a son. And then I will give him to the Lord for all the days of his life, and no razor will ever be used on his head. Now she said, God, see to your servant's misery. And she said, remember me. Remember me, Lord, your servant. I'm bitter. I'm in misery. So Lord, just only give me a son, and I will turn it back to you. Now, a lot of women will not do that. A woman, they never had no child. But then all of a sudden you praying for a child, and you're not going to keep, but you're going to return it back. And so in return for being able to conceive a son, Hannah vowed dedication, to him, to God, for lifetime service. Hannah may have been making a vow, but which parent could take for their unborn child? She promised to God. I promise this to you, God. If you give me a child, I will turn it back. I just want to have the feeling of being pregnant and have a child. You never gave me that opportunity. So just give me that opportunity and I will return it back. She just wants the fear of being pregnant. Since she never had a child, she wants to know how it feels to be pregnant. And as she kept on praying, to the Lord, Eli observed her. He going to observe her so much. He going to be watching her lips moving, but then nothing going to be coming out. So it is not the selfish prayer that she asks for what she wants. It reaches the heart of God. And she also stated, I would give it back to the Lord. She said she will give it back to the Lord. Now Hannah was praying in her heart. Like I was saying at the beginning, you can pray in you want to do a deep prayer. You want to give it all you got, and you can pray in the spirit to God, and you can pray in your heart like Hannah did. Hers worked. Hannah was praying in her heart, and her lips was moving, but her voice was not heard. Eli thought she was drunk. He thought she was drunk. He thought that she was just standing up there talking to herself or whatever, because her lips was moving, but nothing wasn't coming out. She was talking, we all can talk to God. We all can talk to God and move our mouth, and people going to be thinking you crazy. What you doing? Why are you talking to yourself? So Hannah had prayed. She had prayed instantly in her temple, in the temple, moving her lips without making a sound. Now she traveled with her husband, and his second wife and their children, which made her more bitter. I don't know why she would keep on with traveling with them, because every time she traveled with him and the wife and her children, she get more bitter. And said to her, so Eli said to her, how long are you going to stay drunk? Put away the wine. So he really thinks she drunk. He thinks she got wine. See, he like, well, how long? How long you going to be drunk? It's easy to misunderstand motive, and action, where he thinks she drunk, but praying in her heart to God. Now she vowed to give a son to him, but a long life service if the Lord giveth her a boy. She said, only if you give me a boy, I'm going to turn it back to the Lord. Now, she called Eli the Lord, so that's where the baby going to go at. But if I have a girl, I'm going to keep her. I'm going to keep the girl. It's only if I have a boy, I will return it to you. That's my promise. So it's not so. It's not, she said, the Lord give her a boy, she going to keep it. Not so, my Lord. Hannah replied, I am a woman who is deeply troubled. And I have not been drinking wine or beer. I was pouring out my heart to the Lord. She said she was pouring her heart out to the Lord. I'm not drinking. I'm pouring my heart out to God. This been a long time. I want a baby. I keep being around your children, and I don't have no children. Now, she told Eli, everything, that she pouring her heart out to God. Eli was answering, and so Eli answered her and told her, go in peace. You may God of Israel grant you what you have asked for. Because at first he didn't know. She talking and pouring her guts out to God. He just thought she was just tripping. He's thinking she drunk. So Eli realized, God, that she was pouring her heart out to, pouring her heart out to God. Excuse me. Now she said, your servant, find favor in me. Find favor in me, Lord, in your eyes. And then she went her way and ate something, and her face was no longer downcast. Now remember, she was bitter, she was distressed, she was miserable, and she just stopped eating. She stopped eating until she decided to pray to God in a deep prayer in her heart. And so Elijah encouraged her when he realized she talking to God. So he said, go in peace and let your prayers be answered. So she felt a little release. And so she went and ate something, and then she started feeling better. Now, early on, Hannah had been discouraged. She been discouraged to the point of being physical sick and unable to eat. Now, at this point, she returned home well and happy. Now she had prayed honestly to God, not holding anything back from him. And she had received encouragement, from, and she had resolved to leave the problem with God. So now she happy now. She got courage, and so she decided to go and eat something. After she ate something, she felt it better, and she got courage, and she believed in God that He gonna give her that child, and so she left her problem with God. So early the next morning, they arose and worshiped before the Lord. Now, and then she went back, to home. Her and her husband had made love to his wife Hannah, and the Lord remember her. At first, I guess their husband kept having sex with her, and she couldn't have no baby. That because God had closed off. After she had prayed that deep prayer in her heart, God had heard her. God remembered her. So when she had confidence, and when we have confidence, and so she had confidence and left everything with God, and went home and grabbed her husband, and God remembered her. God remembered her. Hannah was happy and had trust and believed God that He would give her a son. So in the course of time, Hannah had become pregnant and gave birth to a son. Now she named him Samuel, and saying, because I asked the Lord for him. And now we see the power of prayer. That's power in prayer. Now she had become pregnant, and conceived a son, and she wanted to experience of being pregnant. Now she had prayed deep in her heart, and made a vow, to God. Now she promised to return the child back to him if it's a boy. So we see you can pray in the spirit to connect with God, or you can pray deeply in your heart like Hannah did. And we see it work. Her womb was closed until God opened it. Her prayers had touched God's heart. It was closed, but then it was open. And she had a son, and she named him Solomon. So that's my thing. Pray in the spirit, or pray in your heart like Hannah did. Because God is spirit. So you can pray in your spirit, you can pray in your heart, you can pray and connect with God, and she negotiate with God. If you give me a child, if it's a boy, I'll give it right back to you, God. But you give me a girl, I want to keep the girl. She stuck to her promise, because she had a boy and she returned it to Eli. She called him Lord, so she gave it back to him, and so that's the story I have on prayers. Is powerful. Prayers work, the power of prayer, and so we had talked about this young boy in the army. The police just knock on his door, and boy, soon he opened the door, they just start shooting and shot him 6 times. Shot him 6 times. They didn't even ask the boy, what's your name? Do they have any disturbance in here? Because I have you received a phone call. He didn't ask none of that. They just saw the gun on him, bust through the door, and just start shooting. So that's all I have. And I request for the family to have justice. To have justice. After they watched that video, they saw their son being gunned down, 6 times. That's horrible. So they deserve justice. That's all I have for you today. Y'all have a blessed and a good night, and I'll see y'all in the next video.